Is there anything scarier to a homeschool mom than the thought of homeschooling high school? Well, I am here to tell you I have been doing this now for 2 years and it's not as scary as I once thought it was. So I'm going to give you some little hints and tips today as homeschool mama for how to keep all the things organized to keep you in sync with your high schooler. I've got a video bomber bombing my whole video.
I stole the show. Comment if I stole the show.
Yeah.
Who's the star of the video?
When you've got teenagers and they want to have fun with you, take the opportunity to have fun with them and play. Hey guys, my name is Rachel and this is my 9th year. I'm finishing up.
Wait, am I finishing up? How many years have I been doing this?
I've been homeschooling since 2015. I have a 9-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And on this channel, I like to talk about all things homeschool, parenting with a Christian perspective. Today, we're going to talk about the high school homeschool mom organizational things. So I basically have 3 things that I want to talk about. One of those things is transcripts. I am not going to talk about that in this video because I am going to make a video all about the transcripts, and I really hope that video will be coming sometime this summer.
Crossing my fingers.
But today I want to talk about my high school homeschool mom binder and my touch points with my high schooler, because one thing that I noticed about high school when my son was a freshman is I wasn't keeping in sync with him as much as I would have liked. I made a plan at the beginning of that year that I planned on meeting with him on a weekly basis. And what happened was we were a part of a co-op that was every other week, but the work that he had to do to prepare for that co-op was a little bit more than I had anticipated, given all of the other courses that I also wanted him to complete his freshman year. So I ended up pushing that one-on-one meeting to the side so that he could work on his co-op assignments on Fridays. But I found that I wasn't doing a great job with keeping up with his deadlines, with keeping up with the grading. I was checking in with him daily because I did watch his history videos with him, and I graded, like his The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts. So I knew what he was doing, but at the same time, I felt more disconnected than I would have liked. So this year, I determined every Friday that we can. I won't say that I did it religiously every Friday. I did have some Fridays where we didn't meet, but we at least met every other Friday. We'll just put it that way. We had our one-on-one time between him and I, and it has worked out splendidly, and I want to talk to you about that. I have a guest for my video. Are you really going to sit there the whole time I record?
Yeah.
It's going to be riveting information. You're going to make sure you don't jump in with your own opinions, right? That would be mad cringe. So at the beginning of the year, I did a series of planning videos, how I planned my year, and I talked about this binder, which is my weekly planning binder. So I only get this out on a weekly basis pretty much to plan my week, and it has all the procedures and things and printed curriculum, because not every curriculum that I bought had books. Some of it was digital, and so I had to print it, and so I put my lesson plans in here, not the curriculum. But one of the things that's in here, since this is a weekly binder, one of the things that's in here is my procedure for meeting with my son. So let's see, I'm going to go to Drew. One of the things that hindered my ability to be consistent with meeting with him last year was when we would come together, it was like,
okay, what do we talk about?
And my son is not a talker. So if I didn't know what we were going to talk about, if I didn't come to the table with an agenda, then the meeting was fruitless. So I decided this year I needed an agenda, and so I made one up and I gave it to him, and it has all the things that we're going to talk about, and it has the things that I want him to bring to the meeting. So for our one-on-one, I want him to bring his history test and really his history homework. When we were doing literature guides, I wanted him to bring them so I can check them. I started grading the Latin quizzes. We talked about any issues. We talked about where are we at for the year. We talked about our plans for the week, science experiments coming up, any big projects, so I could help him plan out what we needed to do and what the deadlines were going to be. Any presentations. Most of his curriculum isn't going to have presentations, but I might want him to create a presentation. So for example, he's just now reading the biography of John Newton, and I told him, rather than him writing a paper to tell me about it or even a discussion, which I do ask him about it on a weekly basis, but I told him up front I wanted him to create a PowerPoint presentation about the book. So he is to journal what he's reading, and then he's going to create that presentation, and we're going to invite his grandparents over to hear it. So that's an example of a presentation, not part of a formal curriculum, but I have it in here listed in case I had that idea and I want to make sure he knows what the expectations are. Okay, and then this is what he and I need to make sure we bring to the meeting. So he not only needs to bring his papers, but I need to make sure I have the answers there in case we want to do an oral discussion. He needs to bring the literature guides, any papers he's working on, his finance worksheets for me to check. We both need to be bringing our planners in case we need to plan something out. His science schedule. Whoops, this was in case I had ideas for any of this stuff, because we were trying to do a family-style co-op every other week. So that was for me to discuss with him whether or not we were going to do a co-op, so he knew how to plan out his week the next week. And then in my weekly meeting, so I have this in a page protector so I can use a dry erase marker to go through my agenda as we're going and make notes for myself as we go. But we start talking about history, then we go on to his literature, any finance discussion and questions, and so on and so forth. So basically, everything that I had up here for what we're going to talk about, this is just my landing spot for any notes that I need to make about those topics. So when we meet, I have my planner here, and I open it to the future week, and I write down where he's at so that when we meet the next week, I can tell hopefully immediately whether or not he fell behind in something. So like history 16.2. I also write this down so that I can keep track of his overall where we're at, because history 16.2, I'm not going to remember how many lessons are in the history, but I did make these for him at the beginning of the year. So I gave him our own lesson plan. I've done this in various ways. Like I didn't do it like this our freshman year. You can check out this video for kind of how I scheduled out his work his freshman year. I did it a little bit differently this year because now that for this particular history curriculum, I went through it, I gave him an extra day to be able to work on his portfolio. So I stretched his history curriculum out for more days than what I did his freshman year. So that's what this is, and I gave these
syllabi, whatever you call, whatever the plural form of that is,
to my son at the beginning of the year to help him plan out his own work. I will be talking in a future video about how my son keeps himself organized for high school, so stay tuned for that. I have an audience. Oh my goodness. How am I doing?
Okay. Comment below. Are you getting ready to homeschool high school? Or are you currently homeschooling high school?
So when he tells me he's on history 16.2, then I come here to his syllabus and just update where we're at. This is also, before I made this, I didn't realize that they had the app. Now check out my son's high school day in a life if you want a little bit more information about Compass Classroom, because Compass Classroom has an app where I also clearly see where he is on all these assignments. So I'm not sure if I will do that again this way next year, but maybe this will be a helpful tool for you. So I'm just marking off here where he's at, and then I can see if we're falling behind. I mean, if we've got 8 weeks left in the school year, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11. There's 12 weeks, 12 plus, because you can see I've got 5 days here, and then this is like a whole other day. It's helpful for gauging whether or not I need to make adjustments to his assignments. So I already did this at one point. I went through his history and said, you know what, we're going to skip this chapter because I want to make sure you get through, for example, the fall of communism, which is the last lesson of this modernity. I don't want to cut off the really modern history learning here for things that I don't think are necessarily as great of value. All of this is so good. It's so hard to cut this history though. But if I don't want him to be doing school all summer, then I'm going to have to make adjustments. So I can look in here to do that, or I can look on the app and just tell him which sections I want him to skip. And then I have a tab here for all of his subjects. So I just went ahead, and for his literature guides, this was kind of the way that I wanted him to assign his weeks. So you can see here, this is for week 4. These are the things that I wanted him to be able to do. I gave these to him for him to plan himself. This is his IEW syllabus, just so I can see if you want to keep track of your overall progress, and maybe you want to put this in a portfolio at the end of the year. I don't have to keep track of portfolios for my state. I don't have to turn anything in, but you could do this and you could make notes on the side here for how they did. This could also be where you record your grades. I just now thought of that as I was explaining it to you. That would have been a good idea for me to just record the grades right here. So see, I've got finance stuff here, science stuff, and math. And this is all literally just, here's how to schedule your week in this particular binder. Natalie, are you looking forward to high school? Why? Because you can't wait for more work?
No, I don't know. I can say I'm in high school.
Wow. Hashtag goals. For information, my daughter is weird. For information about how to order this planner, check out this video right here. For information about my favorite binders and my favorite homeschool supplies, this video right here. All right, next I'm going to talk about my homeschool high school mom binder. So this is for my weekly planning. This is just a list of the lessons, but this is where I keep all of the answers and where I'm currently like holding the things that I either need to grade or file away. How am I doing so far?
She keeps messing up her words.
You're so critical. So the reason that you're going to want a binder like this is because, again, not every curriculum that you purchase is going to be in book form. You know, not a physical book. It might be download, and you might need to download and print your teacher's answers. You might need to. These are all the lessons for either both he and me, or they're just the answers. So such was the case for the Dave Ramsey Finance course. So I only printed out 6 of the 12 lessons because I wanted to see if we would actually use it before I just wasted a ton of paper printing this out. And some of it's already missing because these are answers here, but there were also worksheets for me to print out. I kept them in here until my son needed them, so that was handy for that. And then when he, for example, got to lesson 2, he said, do I have any additional worksheets? And then I went and pulled them out for him. Because his Dave Ramsey book is an actual workbook. He doesn't have a Dave Ramsey binder. So I didn't want to give him a bunch of loose leaf paper to manage. I thought it'll just be fine if I give it to him 1 week at a time, and I can easily hand it to him at our one-on-one meeting. So in my Homeschool Mom high school binder, I have finance, history, Latin, science, and language arts. And then I have a tab here for to grade. So when he hands in the stuff to me that I need to grade, I can easily just slide it back here. And I'll show you this. I do not have math in here because he does Shorman math, and that is graded by the computer program and kept online. Or I don't need answers for math. These are all of the answers for things that I need to grade and look at or discuss with him. So we talked about finance. For history, so when you print out some of the things, they're going to give you information that you as teacher may want to know. So project guide, sort of the things that you'll need to keep in mind for some of the larger projects. And then there's grading sheets here that they'll give you to help you grade. You'll want to have these in here. And then I have the curriculum actually separated by another folder, and then I use this large binder clip to help keep me what place I'm at for grading his stuff. But this is really interesting for where we are at here because I have not graded all of his lesson 15 things yet. This is an awesome organizational tip right here. So at the beginning of the year, I only printed out of the 27 lessons, I printed out 15 of them because I didn't want this binder, which was already decently full, I didn't want it to be heavier than it needed to be. So I printed out the first 15 lessons. You can see these are the answers, so when he hands in his stuff, here's the question he was supposed to answer. Here's a little summary, so as teacher, I know what the gist of what he was supposed to get at was for. But where are my other lessons? So I put a post-it note here. Lessons 15 through 27 are in future. What is future? My future curriculum stuff is down here. So it's either going to be in my future lessons binder here, or it's going to be down here in this magazine file. Let's see, this looks, yep, there it is. Here it is. This is my science curriculum, future, my personal finance, the tests for future lessons, and then my history lessons right here, already hole punched, already ready to go, so I can replace those in my binder now. So then I have Latin here. So when I have graded it, I have moved it to the folder right here where it goes. So the things that I need to grade are back here. See, I need to grade. Back here until I actually grade it, and then once it's graded, I move it to its subject folder. So for Latin here, you guys, I do not grade his Latin homework because Latin is gibberish to me, but his quizzes are all multiple choice. And actually, this isn't even his what?
Because Latin is gibberish.
It is. I don't know Latin. Is Latin, does it make sense to you? No. Latin, no.
Yes.
No. What? You're quoting CC stuff in principio erat verbum. So I mentioned that at the beginning of the year, I didn't really realize that Compass Classroom had an app that could track all of the tasks. I also didn't realize that for Latin, for the quizzes, my son can take that online and it will tell him his score. So I don't even really have to grade anything because I have my son grade his own homework and I only take the quizzes for his grade. So I was grading his quizzes myself the first semester, but then when he realized he can just do this online and as long as mom doesn't care, I was like, yeah, sure, take it online, let them grade it. I had no problem with that, and he just hands in his quiz to me now with his score on it. All right, science, easy to grade. It's kind of split up by units, so I split each of the units here, so depending on where he's at here. Okay, so yeah, so then to grade is back here. Sometimes it looks like I have a few things I need to file here. But this has helped me keep track of all of the answers and his finished works. So if I need a portfolio, it's all going to be in here. The things to put in the portfolio, I need to file this away also. I need to put together his high school portfolio. Right now it's just kind of all, here's last year's binder, here's this year's binder of stuff. What will next year be? Will I have to buy new binders? That's the question. All right, you're turning into the dog. You just like being up here, don't you? Wanting to be on the table. You are weird. You are a weird dog. One thing that this binder has been handy for also was like when my son took driver's ed and I needed some of those materials to keep track of for, I don't know, like things that our state was sending us that I knew while he was taking driver's ed, I needed to keep track of it, but I didn't need it right now until he went to get his license. And so the binder was helpful I could put it here, or I might have even just tucked it up front here. So things that have to do with high school, anything that I don't want to lose, I can put in this binder. And the same thing for his bank had scholarship information they gave us. So I also put that in here. You need a binder like this to help you keep track of where all of those loose papers that you cannot lose need to go.
For more homeschool high school For more homeschool high school content, click here. For more homeschool organization content, click here. Subscribe, like, comment. Until next time.